Welcome back to Mindful Serenity Yoga, or Waking Up in a Busy World, and we are going to continue with our questions and answering of questions. Again, I apologize for the way I appear, the way I sound, recovering from COVID. Somehow, it seems I have more questions in my jar than I had before. So we are almost down. I think I'm 47. This one is 47, so I have 3 more to go before I accomplish my 50. What will I do after I accomplish those? I don't know. I'm thinking about taking those questions and actually writing something on them. So anyway, I am going to... I already answered that one. Excuse me, I'm going to get another one. That was one that ended up back in there. Just going to make sure it's not this. That's a different one. It's my grocery list on one side, so it must be a question that I put in there. Okay, press start and take a deep breath if I can, and exhale. The question I pulled out of the jar is, what are feelings? What are feelings? Now, feelings, I guess, again, are just, it's just a word. Feeling is just a word, but I can just give you the different definitions of feelings that I have learned over the years. Of course, when we first start understanding what a feeling is, we think of feeling in terms of emotions like happy or sad or mad or pleased or surprised or, even tired, because it's an emotional and even a physical experience. A feeling is. We can also have feelings in terms of how we feel about someone, the physical feelings we have, whether we're in pain or in pleasure. So that's basically what we're brought up to believe feelings are. We have a very generalized understanding of what feelings are. The Buddhists tend to break down feelings and make them distinct from emotions or other forms of mental formations. In the skandhas, feelings are one and mental formations are another. They believe feelings are our judgment of something as either pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So there's 3 aspects to those types of feelings. It's either pleasant, it brings pleasure to the body or to the mind or to the life experience, or it brings unpleasant feelings or pain, or it is simply neutral. It doesn't cause a judgment type of reaction. So a judgment is a reaction to an experience, right? So you may encounter something. You may be walking down the street and you see somebody you used to know. Now, your feeling when you see that individual, and I'm not talking about the emotional component, anger or whatnot, it's either just pleasant or unpleasant. Maybe you are pleased to see this person from your past walking up to you because your reaction is one of familiarity and comfort. It's triggering good, pleasant memories in you to see this individual walking towards you. You have, good, pleasant memories of them as a person and your time together. Now, that also could be an unpleasant experience if your past memories of this individual are not so pleasing, or they have in fact caused you pain of some type in the past. Then when you see them coming towards you, the feelings you may be experiencing are unpleasant. Or these feelings can actually be neutral, meaning that you are neither reacting to these experiences in either way. You do not make a judgment. You do not have a perception of this individual or what they're about to bring to you or the past memories as pleasing or not pleasing. It is simply what it is. So you see this individual coming towards you. You're neither pleased or unpleased. You are just accepting and allowing the experience to be whatever it is, not attaching past memory to it, not attaching future anticipation to your meeting with this individual, to the fact that you see this individual walking towards you right now. Is that clear? Of course, in Buddhist teachings, it's the neutral that we want to try to stay at. We do not really want to react with our feelings in either way, negatively or overly positively, because we do not want to be attached to the pleasant feelings, nor do we want to be removed from the unpleasant experiences that we have in life. We want to accept it all, and the best way to accept it all is in neutral terms. Now, the Taoists, I believe, have this analogy where they describe a swinging clock, the pendulum of a clock swinging back and forth, and it takes one extreme here and one extreme there to make the pendulum move. So you may have unpleasant on one side, a little push, and then maybe eventually the opposite of that would be the unpleasant or the pleasant on this side. Push the pleasant, and then maybe we'll have the unpleasant. What we want to do, this back and forth going from unpleasant to unpleasant, can lead to an unsettled feeling in the body. It can lead to an avoidance and approach type of conundrum. Should we approach this? Should we avoid this? And we're constantly going back and forth, and it's exhausting basically for the mind and body. So what is said is to find that peace and solace when the pendulum is still, try to create a harmony, a balance between two opposing forces. When the pendulum is still, that's where we want to be, in between the swinging back and forth between our feelings, between the pleasant and the unpleasant. We want to be neutral. We want our reactions to life to be neutral, so that we are not constantly going like this, like we're watching a ping pong match. When it's our life that we're watching, and stepping up to cling to something or grab something, and then pulling back in fear of being hurt by something. So this neutral feeling, this neutral, but we will always have things that, are going to be considered pleasant, and things that are considered unpleasant, and things that will probably have no reaction, and we can just take that in the things themselves. For example, you may, ice cream for most people was probably pleasant, right? So it's got a pleasant connotation to it. Getting a needle in your eye is probably considered unpleasant, so it's something you're going to want to avoid, right? So we approach the ice cream, avoid the needle in the eye. And there's other circumstances that don't seem to have any effect in the way that they will be perceived or judged, or the way that we will actually experience them. And that could be things like water. You may not have judgment to water. You may not think it's overly pleasant, and you may not think it's unpleasant. It's just water, right? So taking a glass of water, of course we need water for our thirst, but we do not often think of water as pleasant. It's just water. I'm hoping that's making sense. So water might be the neutral there. Of course, we're mostly looking at our reaction and responding to the circumstances of our life, but even when we say that water is neutral, it is basically a judgment that we are making, that it's neutral, right? For some individuals, it's very relative as well. For some individuals who like to drink cold water, they may find a nice cold glass of water very pleasant on a hot day. That's relative to the circumstance and situation they are in. And they may find warm water that's been sitting on the counter when they're very thirsty unpleasant. And so that again is relative. And the fact that it may not have any reaction either way could be relative as well, depending on if the person's really thirsty, or depending on the person is drinking so much water already they think I have to have another drink of water, they're going to be sick, etc. So we have, according to the Buddhists, these feelings, which are just basically a way of perceiving and judging something as being pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And the keywords there, beyond those three descriptors, is the perception and judgment. So we tend to have to make those perceptions and judgments when it comes to feelings, to determine what we consider to be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. And it's very relative to the individual and to the experience they're encountering, and all the variables that have led up to that experience. Well, I hope that's an okay answer. I'm really doubting that it is, But I'm going to finish this up and call it a question. And thank you so much for joining. Namaste.